Have you ever met your hero for the very last time without knowing it would be the last? Mike Tyson did, and years later, the memories still haunted him, because the final private conversation he shared with Muhammad Ali wasn't about boxing. It wasn't about championships. It wasn't about fame. It was about something far more important. Something Tyson wouldn't fully understand until it was too late. As Tyson sat across from a man he had admired since childhood, he noticed something that immediately broke his heart. Muhammad Ali's body was weaker. His movements were slower. The voice that once shook arenas around the world had become quiet. Yet somehow, his presence remained as powerful as ever. Tyson felt nervous. Not the kind of nervousness he felt before a fight. This was different. This was the fear of watching a living legend slowly disappear. And Tyson didn't know Ali had one final lesson left to give him. To understand why that moment mattered so much, we have to go back many years. Back to Brooklyn. Back to a young boy growing up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in America. Long before Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, he was just another kid searching for direction. The streets were dangerous. Trouble was everywhere. Many young boys around him were heading toward prison violence or worse. Tyson's future seemed uncertain. Then one day, he discovered boxing. And shortly after that, he discovered Muhammad Ali. The first time Tyson watched Ali fight, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Heavyweights weren't supposed to move like that. They weren't supposed to be that fast. They weren't supposed to talk with that much confidence. Ali seemed larger than life, almost supernatural. Every punch, every movement, every prediction, everything felt magical. Tyson became obsessed. He collected Ali photographs. He studied Ali interviews. He replayed Ali fights again and again. While other kids had movie stars and musicians as heroes, Tyson had Muhammad Ali, and Tyson didn't know one day he would sit face to face with a man who changed his life. Years passed. Tyson's boxing talent exploded. Under the guidance of Cus D'Amato, he transformed into a fearsome young fighter. Knockouts piled up. Victories piled up. The world started paying attention. Yet through all the success, Tyson remained the same fan who admired Muhammad Ali. Every achievement reminded him of the man who inspired his dream. Every championship brought him closer to meeting his hero. Then the day finally arrived. Mike Tyson met Muhammad Ali. The moment felt unreal. For years, Tyson had watched Ali on television. Now Ali stood right in front of him. The young fighter struggled to contain his emotions. He wanted to appear strong, confident, professional. Instead, he felt like a child meeting his idol. Ali immediately noticed, and in typical Ali fashion, he smiled. The ice was broken instantly. The conversation flowed naturally. Tyson listened carefully to every word, because when Muhammad Ali spoke, Tyson treated every sentence like a lesson. And Tyson didn't know those lessons would eventually become more valuable than any championship belt. Muhammad Ali never treated Mike Tyson like a celebrity. That was one of the reasons Tyson respected him so much. Ali had met kings, presidents, movie stars, world leaders. Nothing impressed him. People were simply people. And whenever Tyson spent time with him, Ali treated him the same way. Not as a heavyweight champion, not as a global superstar, just as Mike. That simple kindness left a powerful impression. Because Tyson didn't know, Ali was teaching him something without ever saying it directly. As the years passed, Tyson's fame exploded beyond anything he had imagined. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history. His fights generated millions. His face appeared everywhere. Magazine covers, television interviews, commercials, sports shows. The world couldn't get enough of Mike Tyson. At first, it felt amazing. Every athlete dreams of that kind of attention. Every fighter dreams of reaching the top. But fame carries a price. And Tyson was about to discover it. The pressure became relentless. Every mistake became a headline. Every decision became public discussion. Every relationship was analyzed. People surrounded him constantly. Some admired him. Others wanted something from him. It became difficult to know who was genuine, who was loyal, who was simply chasing money and influence. And Tyson didn't know Muhammad Ali had already experienced every one of those struggles years earlier. Whenever they met, Ali often shared stories from his own journey. Stories about fame, stories about mistakes, stories about lessons learned the hard way. Tyson listened, but like many young champions, he believed he could handle everything. He believed he was different. He believed success would never disappear. The confidence that made him great inside the ring sometimes prevented him from seeing danger outside of it. Ali understood that, because he had once been young too. And Tyson didn't know. Ali was trying to prepare him for storms that hadn't arrived yet. Then those storms finally came. The years that followed were difficult, very difficult. Tyson's career faced setbacks. His personal life became chaotic. The invincible champion suddenly looked vulnerable. The fame that once felt exciting became exhausting. People who had celebrated his victories disappeared during his struggles. The spotlight that once praised him now criticized him. It was a painful transformation. Yet during those challenging years, Tyson often remembered Muhammad Ali's words, the warnings, the advice, the lessons. Slowly, he realized Ali had understood things he couldn't see at the time, because experience gives perspective. And Tyson was finally gaining that perspective. But Tyson didn't know his relationship with Ali was about to become even more meaningful. As both men grew older, their meetings changed. The conversations became deeper, more personal, less focused on boxing, more focused on life. Ali's health challenges had become increasingly visible. Parkinson's disease was taking its toll. The physical effects were impossible to ignore. For Tyson, seeing this was painful. The man who once danced around opponents with unbelievable speed now moved carefully. The voice that once delivered unforgettable speeches often struggled to be heard. It felt unfair, almost impossible to accept. Yet Ali faced every challenge with remarkable dignity. Never complaining, never asking for sympathy, never surrendering his spirit. That strength inspired Tyson more than any knockout ever could, because Tyson didn't know Ali's greatest fight wasn't inside a boxing ring. It was happening right before his eyes. Whenever they met during those later years, Tyson paid attention to every detail, every smile, every handshake, every conversation. Something inside him understood these moments were becoming precious. Time was changing everything, and Tyson could feel it. One meeting in particular stayed with him forever. The setting was quiet. There were no television cameras, no reporters, no roaring crowds, just two heavyweight champions sitting together. One was the young destroyer who had once ruled boxing. The other was a legend who had changed sports forever. For a while they simply talked, not about championship belts, not about famous fights, not about records. They talked about life, about family, about purpose, about what truly matters when the cheering stops. Tyson listened carefully. Every word seemed important. Every sentence felt valuable. Because Tyson didn't know, this conversation would become one of the last memories he would ever have of Muhammad Ali. As they sat together, Ali looked at Tyson with the same wisdom that had guided him for decades. The years had changed his body, but they had not touched his understanding of people. Ali knew Tyson had traveled a difficult road. He knew about the mistakes, the losses, the struggles, yet he also saw growth. He saw maturity. He saw a man becoming wiser through experience, and that seemed to make him happy. There was no judgment, no criticism, only understanding. Tyson would later remember that feeling, the feeling of being accepted, of being understood, of being encouraged by someone he admired deeply. And Tyson didn't know, those memories would soon become priceless. When the visit finally came to an end, neither man realized exactly how little time remained. Goodbyes are strange. Most of them feel ordinary, routine, temporary. People assume there will be another conversation, another meeting, another opportunity. Life teaches us otherwise. As Tyson left that day, he carried something with him. Not a gift, not an autograph, not a photograph, a feeling, a lesson, a memory. At the time, he couldn't fully explain it. Only later would he understand why it mattered so much. Because Tyson didn't know, he had just experienced the final chapter of friendship that began when he was a young boy watching television in Brooklyn. The months passed. Ali's health continued declining. Public appearances became increasingly rare. Fans around the world worried. Many hoped for improvement. Many prayed. Yet everyone understood the reality. The greatest fighter of all time was fighting a battle that no amount of courage could fully overcome. And then came the news nobody wanted to hear. Muhammad Ali had passed away. For Tyson, the announcement felt devastating. Not because boxing had lost a legend, because he had lost a hero, a mentor, a friend, someone whose influence stretched across nearly every stage of his life. In that moment, memories flooded back. The first fight he watched, the first meeting, the lessons, the laughter, the conversations, and most of all, that final private talk, the one that now carried even greater meaning. Because Tyson didn't know, those words would stay with him forever. Years later, Tyson still speaks about Muhammad Ali with emotion. His voice changes. His expression changes. The admiration remains obvious because Tyson understands something many people never realize. True greatness isn't measured by championships. It isn't measured by money. It isn't measured by fame. It's measured by impact, by the lives you touch, by the people you inspire, by the lessons you leave behind. Muhammad Ali accomplished all of that and more. That is why Tyson never stopped calling him the greatest. Not simply the greatest boxer, the greatest human being he ever met. And whenever Tyson remembers that final private conversation, he isn't thinking about punches or titles. He's remembering wisdom. He's remembering kindness. He's remembering a man who changed his life long before they ever met. And perhaps that's the true power of Muhammad Ali's legacy. Even after his voice fell silent, his lessons continued speaking, not only to Mike Tyson, but to the entire world. And Tyson knows that better than anyone. The world changed on June 3rd, 2016. For millions of people, it felt impossible. Muhammad Ali was gone. The man who had once seemed larger than life. The fighter who shocked Sonny Liston. The champion who conquered George Foreman. The icon who stood against injustice. The voice that inspired generations. Suddenly, he was no longer here. News channels interrupted their broadcasts. Sports networks switched to special coverage. Newspapers rushed out tributes. Social media exploded with memories. Around the world, people who had never met Ali felt like they had lost a friend. And for Mike Tyson, the pain was even deeper, because Tyson didn't know the final lesson Ali would teach him would come after his death. When Tyson heard the news, memories flooded his mind. He remembered being a small boy in Brooklyn, watching Ali on television, dreaming impossible dreams, believing that one day he could become a champion too. He remembered the first time they met, the first handshake, the first conversation, the first piece of advice. Then he remembered that final private meeting, the quiet room, the calm discussion, the wisdom in Ali's eyes, the feeling that somehow Ali understood everything. At the time, Tyson had no idea it would be their last conversation. Now he wished he had listened even more carefully, because Tyson didn't know those final memories would become treasures he would carry forever. As preparations began for Muhammad Ali's funeral, the world watched closely. This would not be an ordinary farewell. How could it be? Muhammad Ali had never lived an ordinary life. Leaders from around the globe planned to attend. Celebrities planned to attend. Athletes planned to attend. Thousands of ordinary people planned to attend. Everyone wanted one final chance to honor the man who had touched so many lives. Louisville, Kentucky became the center of the world, the city where Ali's story began, the city where his journey would finally come full circle. And Tyson didn't know, walking into Louisville would become one of the most emotional experiences of his life. When Tyson arrived, the atmosphere felt different. There was sadness. Of course there was sadness. But there was also gratitude, celebration, respect, love. People weren't simply mourning Muhammad Ali. They were celebrating everything he represented. Everywhere Tyson looked, he saw evidence of Ali's impact. Young people, elderly people, rich people, poor people, people from different countries, different religions, different cultures. all gathered for the same reason. Muhammad Ali had touched their lives. That realization hit Tyson hard, because few people in history create that kind of unity. Ali had done it naturally, and Tyson didn't know. He was witnessing the true definition of greatness. The funeral itself was extraordinary. Stories were shared, memories were shared, laughter mixed with tears. The world listened as speaker after speaker explained what Muhammad Ali had meant to them. Some spoke about boxing. Others spoke about courage. Others spoke about kindness. Many spoke about inspiration. Every story revealed another side of the man Tyson had admired his entire life. And with each story, Tyson's respect grew even deeper. Because Tyson didn't know, he was still discovering new things about his hero. At one point, Tyson simply sat quietly and listened. No cameras, no interviews, no attention, just reflection. As he listened, he realized something powerful. Most champions are remembered for victories. Most celebrities are remembered for fame. Muhammad Ali was being remembered for something entirely different. People weren't talking about titles. They were talking about humanity, compassion, generosity, courage, love, the qualities that truly matter, the qualities that survive long after trophies collect dust, the qualities Ali possessed in abundance. And Tyson didn't know that realization would permanently change how he viewed success. After the funeral, Tyson spent a long time thinking about everything he had witnessed. The images remained vivid. The emotions remained strong. Most of all, he kept returning to that final private conversation. The words themselves mattered, but the feeling mattered even more. Ali had spent his life teaching lessons, sometimes through speeches, sometimes through actions, sometimes through simple conversations. And Tyson realized he had been learning from Ali for decades. Even when he didn't recognize it, even when he didn't fully understand it, the lessons had always been there, waiting, patiently, until life made them clear. Because Tyson didn't know, Ali had spent years preparing him for this moment. The older Tyson became, the more he appreciated those lessons. The younger Tyson wanted fame. The older Tyson wanted meaning. The younger Tyson wanted attention. The older Tyson wanted peace. The younger Tyson wanted greatness. The older Tyson wanted purpose. That transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened through experience, through hardship, through mistakes, and through wisdom shared by people like Muhammad Ali. Every year that passed seemed to reveal another layer of Ali's message. The championships mattered, but they weren't everything. The money mattered, but it wasn't everything. The fame mattered, but it wasn't everything. Character mattered most. That was the lesson Ali had been teaching all along. And Tyson finally understood. Because Tyson didn't know, the greatest gift Ali ever gave him wasn't inspiration. It was perspective. Today, when Mike Tyson speaks about Muhammad Ali, his admiration remains unmistakable. The respect is still there. The gratitude is still there. The emotion is still there. Because some people leave marks on history. Muhammad Ali left a mark on humanity. Tyson understands that distinction better than most. He saw Ali as a champion. He saw Ali as a celebrity. He saw Ali as an icon. But most importantly, he saw Ali as a man who used his platform to help others, a man who never stopped caring, a man who remained humble despite worldwide fame, a man who changed lives, including Tyson's. And perhaps that's why the final private conversation remained so meaningful, not because of what was said, but because of who said it. Muhammad Ali, the hero Tyson idolized, the mentor Tyson learned from, the friend Tyson mourned, the legend Tyson still honors. As years continue passing, one truth becomes clearer than ever. The boxing world may never see another Muhammad Ali. There may be future champions, future stars, future icons, but there was only one Ali. Only one man capable of inspiring generations both inside and outside the ring. Only one man who could unite people from every corner of the world. Only one man whose influence stretched far beyond sports. And Mike Tyson knows that better than anyone, because long before he became Iron Mike, he was simply a young fan watching Muhammad Ali. And even after becoming heavyweight champion of the world, he never stopped being that fan. That may be the most beautiful part of this entire story. The champion never stopped admiring his hero, and the hero never stopped teaching lessons. Even in their final conversation, even after his final breath, even after the world said goodbye, Muhammad Ali's voice still echoes to the lives he touched, including Mike Tyson's. And perhaps that is the true meaning of greatness. Not how many people cheer for you when you're winning, but how many people continue carrying your lessons after you're gone. Muhammad Ali achieved exactly that, which is why, years later, Mike Tyson still calls him the greatest man he ever knew. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, and boxing history stories. Until next time, remember this: champions win fights, legends win hearts, and Muhammad Ali did both.